What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to NoLifeTilMetal. Going to be doing a collection video today. This is going to be new wave British heavy metal band Girlschool, all-female band formed in 1978. This band is still around, still putting out music, still touring. I think they have at least 2, if not 3, original members playing with them, which is pretty amazing for a band that's been around that long. And you know, it's not like they're Aerosmith and making millions of dollars at this, so it's just a passion for them, obviously. So I'm gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna do it in chronological order because I have singles here and albums. So I'm gonna do the singles first, the 7-inch and the 10-inch singles. Then I'll get into the 12-inch vinyl after that. But gonna start out. I don't have their first single, which was 1979, but this is one of their earliest singles from 1980. This is Yeah Right, backed with the Hunter on the Bronze label. They were label mates with Motorhead, and friends with Motorhead, and recorded with Motorhead, and toured with Motorhead, so a lot of Motorhead connections here. Not only is there connections that way, there's also connections in the sound, where Motorhead was kind of that crossover sound that appealed to both metalheads and punks. Same thing with Girlschool. They kind of have a punk edge to their, punk delivery to their sound, but they're, I mean, I always considered them heavy metal band all the way back to the 80s. These days I see people fighting that they're barely hard rock, so whatever. To me, if it was metal in 1980, 1979, 1980, then it's still metal now, but, I don't like rewriting history like some people apparently. But another single from 1980, this is Emergency, backed with Furniture Fire. You can see a picture of the band in the back. And you'll notice a reoccurring theme in the photographs of the band, that they aren't trying to look like, sex symbols, that they aren't wearing, fishnet stockings and garter belts and lingerie, posing provocatively. They look tough. They're a heavy rock and roll band, they're a heavy metal band, and that's what they're trying to be. They're not trying to use sex appeal to sell records, at least not now. So anyhow, Emergency single from 1980. I believe this next one is from 1981, I believe. Yep, 1981. So from their first album, Come On Let's Go. Again, on UK pressing on the Bronze label, backed with Tonight and Demolition Boys. And then, I'm missing one here. Where'd it go? There it is. Next one is a single that they did, or a EP they did with Motorhead. There's a couple different Motorhead Girlschool singles. I don't have all of them yet, but I do have this 10-inch one, which features Please Don't Touch, which has both bands recording together. So you've got Denise on drums. Okay, interrupted by the phone again. This is actually my second time recording this video because I kept getting interrupted by the phone before. I wish I could just turn it off. I would if I could, but I've got a family member in the hospital, so I can't turn the phone off. In any case, where I leave off. So, Girlschool, Motorhead. This is the Motorhead Girlschool St. Valentine's Day Massacre EP. I have that one on 10-inch and 7-inch as well. Same songs on both, same cover art. UK pressings from Bronze. I also have this oddball radio pressing that came from the UK. I don't know if it ever had a cover on it or if it was just in a generic sleeve, but this one's in a cardboard sleeve where someone's handwritten the songs on them, and it has a price tag on it that's been on there forever. You can see it looks like £2, I believe that is, in the UK, and a little sticker that says second hand on it. I don't know, I just like this one because it's just so weird. I bet there's not another one like it anywhere. So next single I have 2 copies of as well. I originally purchased this one. This is Hit and Run. This is a repressing from a few years ago. I believe it was on Record Store Day. Backed with Tonight. Girlschool's playing in the background, if you didn't know. Yeah, right. But I bought a lot of 7-inch singles from a seller, and I ended up picking up an original UK pressing on Bronze. So now I have 2 different pressings of it. Same cover art, as you can see, slightly different, but I mean, you know, pressed, you know, 30 years apart, not surprising. Sound-wise, not much difference. This is the Wildlife EP, which actually the song Wildlife is on here on the B side. The A side of this is, see, the B side is Wildlife and Don't Stop, which is the 2 songs, and then Don't Call It Love is actually the A side track to the Wildlife EP. I'm not sure why they didn't call it, you know, the name of the song as the single, and they call it the Wildlife, which is on the B side. I don't know, whatever. There it is. Again, you see a picture of the band. They're looking like, you know, it looks like a metal band. You know, they look like, you know, Metallica 1985. You know, they do, or Motorhead 1984. You know, they're just a metal band. They're not trying to sell sex appeal. They're just playing rock and roll. This next one is U.S. pressing, and it's Jump Force from 1989. And this is actually a cover song. Enigma Records. This is Fox on the Run, which is, of course, the cover of The Sweet. And the B side is Tear It Up. Just a generic Enigma sleeve. I don't know that there was ever a picture sleeve version of this pressed. I've never seen it, but cool single nonetheless. All right, now we're getting into the 12-inch albums. So, first album, 1980, Girlschool, Demolition. Great, raw, edgy, you know, again, the crossover kind of has a sound somewhere similar to, like, you know, to Tank, or especially Motorhead, where it kind of has an appeal. I can see how it appeals to punks. I can see how it appeals to metalheads. It's just raw, edgy rock and roll, you know. 1980, nobody alive would have said this was anything but heavy metal, you know. They were part of the new wave of British heavy metal movement. These days, people will argue differently, but regardless, great band. And a great album. I mean, their first album is just fantastic. If you are into heavy rock at all, or new wave British heavy metal, it's essential. As is the second album, Hit and Run, which is every bit as good. Again, early on, these bands didn't have huge budgets, and what I liked about a lot of the early new wave British heavy metal stuff, bands like Raven and Venom and even Iron Maiden, is the rawness of the sound. You know, it was edgy, raw rock and roll. You know, they weren't trying to be super clean. They weren't trying to write pop. They weren't trying to get radio singles. And that's what you get here with this Girlschool. It's just raw, edgy rock and roll. And again, you can see there's another picture of the band looking dressed in all you know, biker leather. Great songs on here. It's not a bad song on here. Matter of fact, the song playing in the background, The Hunter, is off of this album. Come On, Let's Go, I'm Your Victim, Kick It Down, Following the Crowd, Tush, whatever, which is, yes, the ZZ Top cover, Hit and Run, Watch Your Step, Back to the Start, Yeah Right, and Future Flash. This is a fantastic album. Either one of those first 2 Girlschool albums you can't go wrong with. They're both great. And then their third album, they got a little bit bigger budgets, a little bit cleaner sound, like a lot of the bands did around this time. You know, Def Leppard were hitting it huge with first with High and Dry, and then especially with Pyromania, and then with the next album they just exploded. You know, High and Dry was still edgy, still hard, still rock and roll. With Pyromania, they got kind of a colder, more clean sound. Wasn't quite as edgy, a little more poppy. And then with Hysteria, it was just 100%, you know, plastic pop production. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the new wave British heavy metal bands searching for that kind of notoriety and fame and money we're pushing for cleaner sounds as well. Now, Girlschool, I don't really think changed their sound at all. You know, there's no stripper pole songs on here. You know, nobody's I'm hot, sticky, sweet from my head to my feet kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's still raw, edgy rock and roll. You can see the band still looks like a metal band. They're still just trying to play their style of metal. And it's a great album, but it is a little cleaner in the production, so doesn't quite have the raw edge that that the first 2 albums had. Still great songs on here though, just fantastic. And this is actually a recent release. This is Glasgow 1982. Again, live raw delivery. It's, you know, huge energy that from a crowd. You know, the band's feeding on the crowd's energy. The crowd is feeding off the band's energy, and I think you can feel that in the recording. It's one of the things I like about live recordings, especially those from the 70s and the early 80s. They just couldn't capture that in a studio, and that's captured here on this fantastic history lesson in real heavy metal and hard rock. So you got Kelly Johnson, who was the lead guitar player in this band until, I don't know, it was a couple of years after this one. She left for some reason. She ended up passing away in 2007 from bone cancer, spinal cancer. Yeah, it was, which is tragic. But then you've got on guitars, rhythm guitars, and backing vocals, Kelly Johnson, who never left the band and is still with the band, and Denise Dufert, who was the drummer and is still with the band as well. On here is Gil West on bass. I'm pretty sure that the original bass player from the first couple albums, I don't know if I can't remember her name off the top of my head, Enid Williams. I think she's back with the band, last I heard. So there's 3 original members in the band still touring. So pretty good for a band who's, you know, it's not like they're Aerosmith and making millions of dollars. So 4th album, Play Dirty. Again, a cleaner sound. Again, the band not looking like a, you know, not trying to necessarily have any kind of sex appeal. It's just a rock and roll band. You know, just don't find these girls in the back alley. They'll beat the crap out of you. This is a Japanese pressing, stone mint condition. It's actually a promotional copy, or from what I've been told, this little symbol up here, it means demo, so it's a demo copy, so they would send this to radio stations and whatnot, obviously. It's got the OB strip. The one minor flaw on this thing is right there. It's a small tear in the OB strip, but the vinyl is perfect condition. And there's a little bit of what looks like ringwear right here, but the ringwear is actually only on this plastic sleeve. That's the original plastic sleeve that came in. US radio single for the song Play Dirty. It's got 2 versions. It's got a radio edit, and then it's got the longer version with the guitar solos and whatnot in it. This is a little over 5 minutes, and the radio version is a little over 3 minutes. I just showed a bunch of 12x12s. That's just one I didn't happen to pull out. So here's a 12-inch single for 20th Century Boy, backed with Breaking All the Rules and Like It Like That. There's also a 7-inch version that I'd love to have. This version I got really cheap at a record show. It does have a slight flaw in the cover. Right there, where something, I don't know, stuck to it, was peeled off. I don't know what exactly happened right there. I don't really give a crap. I got it for such a killer price. So, and then we start getting into the when they had their major label deal, especially in the U.S. on Mercury Records. This is actually I don't know if I have these in the right order or not. Like I said, I'm not worried about chronological order necessarily, but Take a Bite. Again, raw, edgy crossover between punk and heavy metal. So I'll just call it heavy rock and roll. So you've got a new lead singer and new lead guitar player and Chris Bonassi on here, who I don't know how long she was with the band. She's not with the band anymore. But it's a good album. I like it. It's not my favorite Girlschool album, but it's still a decent album. Now these next 2 albums, this is them on Mercury Records. This is a major label pushing them to do something different. This is, you know, the equivalent of Raven's Pack Is Back to me. Twisted Sisters Come Out and Play. This is this is them searching for commercial success, listening to producers, record companies, management, whatever. So not only is the music here, it's still their sound. It still sounds like Girlschool, so you're not going to think they're another band. But it's so clean, especially the recording compared to that early raw stuff. It just doesn't have the same grit and grind, you know. And then the band photos in the back, kind of a dead giveaway. No longer do they look like the tough girl metalheads. You got the sexy poses and whatnot, you know, the provocative poses. You got them wearing fishnet stockings and lingerie and you know, leather hip boots and whatnot. So yeah, it's Girlschool. I can dig it. You know, it's their Cold Lake. So you can dig it or not, but it's definitely not the same Girlschool you got back earlier than that. Now this next album I've always considered kind of a comeback, and some would agree, some would disagree, but Nightmare at Maple Cross. This is the Girlschool getting back to their heavy rock and roll roots. So production is a little more edgy. and it's a little more heavy, and there's no more pictures of the band, you know, in fishnet stockings. Instead, you've got these fun little cartoons of the band in the back, and this is just Girlschool being Girlschool, and I dig that. So this is the last one I have on vinyl. They have a lot more albums that came out after those. I have those on CD, but I'm only showing the vinyl collection for a day. So that's it. 2 tries this video. Hopefully the second one will do. Even with another phone interruption in the middle of it, I'll just cut it. So pardon my my phone ring. So that's it. Wish you all the best. God bless. Stay strong.